Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode. Sorry, my screen was delayed. Of the Lions Den podcast. We are here, last podcast of the season 2022. Obviously, we did not want to end the season like this, but hey, we're here to talk about everything Club Leon in English, to what happened from repechaje to elimination to kind of overall talk about Club Leon this season. I know it's been a very, very hectic tournament with the World Cup coming 30 days away now, which is kind of crazy because it doesn't feel like a World Cup is coming, but it is. So we'll talk about FIBA, new players coming, kind of give them a quick report card and seeing what we think of their performance and kind of looking forward into maybe expectations and what this possible winter transfer window would look like for La Fiera. So for everybody joining us via Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, let us know what your thoughts are. Comment anything you guys want to talk about. If you want to join the conversation, let us know. We'll definitely be posting all the comments on the screen. We would love to hear those. So Louis, Carlos, gentlemen, how are we feeling tonight? Last podcast of the season, and we get to talk about Club Leon, our beloved Club
Leon. Yeah, doesn't feel like a World Cup is coming, and it certainly doesn't feel like a Liga MX season should be anywhere close to ending. I'm just thinking about this date 1 year ago and how much football Club Leon still had left to play. If we're thinking about the Apertura 2021. I mean, the leg 2 of the final was December 12th, or maybe the December 13th even. Yeah, because I think MLS Cup was the 12th. Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very, very strange tournament, a very strange semestre futbolístico. I mean, maybe that helps us ease the pain of our early exit. We can tell us whatever we need to make it feel like it doesn't matter as much that we had an early exit. But I mean, I'm at peace with it. I was telling you guys on the chat. I just don't think. I hate to admit it, but I just don't think this team. I don't think this team had much more in them than what they gave, and I think where they ended up is about right for the season that they had and the roster that they put together. I mean, I think maybe in the best case scenario, if they played the absolute best ball this roster was capable of, maybe they could have squeaked into a semifinal or something like that. But I'm kind of glad they didn't, because that would have gotten our hopes up, and then they would have fallen, and it would have been like, what if? And I think it's better that they went out when they did. I think it was more justicia deportiva, and I mean, they didn't have to keep stringing us along any longer than they probably should have, and we kind of just get to be at peace with it and start thinking about the long off season and to start thinking about 2023, because there isn't going to be any more Club Leon until 2023.
Yeah, it's been a week, a little more than a week actually, and I think if any of us were in pain, I think we've already dealt with that pain. I think we're all at peace with it. Like Louis said, we're all at peace with the results. But yeah, I mean,
well, I had more pain. But not Club Leon related. Yeah, Seattle Mariners related.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's time to turn the page on this team. The season, I consider it a failure. I don't know about you guys, but it's a failure. I don't know. I expected a little more from these guys, but the way the season went, it was such a roller coaster season that, like, at some point you just kind of had to be real with yourself and admit that, yeah, we're probably not going to get too far. And even Paiva said it in some of his interviews. Louis, you pointed this out when you said,
controversially, maybe it wasn't so controversial for others, but I really didn't like his comments. I really did not like his comments.
He said America was going to be.
We can get into that, but finish your thought.
Yeah, he said America is going to be champion, like kind of like taking the pressure off of him and his guys, and like, okay, we're not going to get too far, guys. Don't get ahead of yourselves.
Right, but you don't talk in those terms when your season is still going. Like, if your season's already over and they want to have you on as a special guest commentator about the teams that are still in it when yours is already out, that's one thing. I don't think anybody would have had a problem with that. But he's talking about how America deserves to be champion and Santos Laguna is the best is the best team. Like, dude, you still have a repechaje match to play. Your team is still in it. If you're not thinking only about León and Cruz Azul, what are you even doing?
It's
And I
not
think
over till
Carlos,
it's over.
you said, like, once that came out, I think you were like, I'm not sure Paiva's the guy. And I up until that point, I was like, I think Paiva's still the guy. You got to give him one more tournament. But when he came out with those comments, I was like, I don't know. I think I agree with you, man. I don't know if he's the guy. But I've calmed down a little bit on that train of thought. I've calmed down a little bit, and I think he's deserving of another at least one more tournament.
Yeah.
To see what he can show us.
Yeah, I think those comments were too early. I mean, at the end of the season, go ahead. We're eliminated. Go ahead and say what you want. Go say how you really feel. But when you still have a match to play, like, no, like you have to push to try to get as far as you can. And it almost feels like he was just kind of like dusting himself off, saying like, let's just go home already. We're not going to get too far in this.
Resigned to the inevitable. It's fine for us to be resigned to the inevitable. We're not in charge of coaching the team. Like, I don't think, I just don't think it was appropriate. And, I had a few interactions with some notable names like Paco Vela on Twitter and stuff, and he didn't even think it was that big of a deal. I was like, you just don't say this when you're in this situation. We applauded how candid and his candor and how honest he's been, and like, as opposed to Holland, who never gave us anything really, like any sort of press conference. He never gave us anything. He never knew really what he was thinking. He never really seemed bought in or invested. And you don't get that with Paiva, but sometimes I think his honesty bites him a little bit. I just didn't think those were the right kind of comments. But it's done. What can we say about it now? He's not going to be fired. He's going to have the reins still. He's going to get another shot at this. So we got to be behind him, and I am.
Yeah.
But those comments were strange. Yeah, let's just leave it at that.
Daddy, what do you think? Oh, you're muted, by the way.
Sorry, I was trying to get the other thing together. Yeah, I mean, I think we did talk about it. I think I didn't like his comments, like Louis said. I think it was like throwing in the towel, kind of like starting like, I want to start from scratch again, from a fresh new torneo. And I was like, yeah, we all do, but we want to at least go out there on the pitch y ver que tu equipo muere de algo, and actually deserve it. But I feel like, I mean, in conclusion with that Cruz Azul game, I mean, merecidamente, I think it was the best thing to close out the season there and kind of, forget about it. Not forget about it in a saying like, well, we're not gonna, like what we're gonna do today. Talk about the jugadores, talk about, aquí le faltó más, and be critics because that's what we do. But I think that game definitely was a definition of, this is why we struggled all season, and the lack of intensity, lack of urgency. I mean, some players, I was just like, what are you doing here? Like, I guess we're so used to our players having a lot of, passion y guerra, you want that. You miss that. And I really want it with Paiva, but I don't know. There needs to be major changes happening.
Major overhaul. A lot of these guys got to go.
Yeah. And we'll definitely talk about maybe some of the stuff that we want out.
Yeah.
I think Javi is on.
Javier, let's go.
¿Qué onda?
Javier, we were just talking about Renato Paiva and how he came out saying, when we were still in repechaje, he came out saying, oh, América merece ser campeón, like Santos Laguna is the best playing team, like, and kind of not defending himself, not defending the team, and looking forward, trying to win repechaje. What do you think about that?
I didn't even know about that. No, I didn't know he was saying that before we even played against Cruz Azul.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know. That's kind of weird, right? Because
yeah.
I mean, I guess you could give props. You could be realistic. I guess you can't be like, this is the best playing team. América por los puntos que hizo, maybe they are, but yeah, defend yours for sure. Don't talk about maybe once you're eliminated, be like, once
that's
you're eliminated.
The thing. Like, the guy needs to work a lot on his coach speak. Like, there's a way to answer that kind of question. He was asked directly about what he thought about, about the rest of the field. And that's fine, but there's a way to answer that question. Be like, for right now, we've got a repechaje to play, and I'm only focused on Club León and Cruz Azul. And beyond that, there's a million ways to say it in coach speak without, without doing what he did. and
Yeah.
that's something he's got to work on, I think.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even know, but I agree. I think if it would have been like after the press conference after being eliminated by Cruz Azul, he would have been like, good luck to Cruz Azul. I still think this team is the best playing team, and that would have made sense, but like not beforehand.
Yeah.
Definitely. Louis touched a little bit about atmosphere for. I know it's been a couple weeks, but atmosphere at El Azteca in the second leg, and how did it all go down after the loss?
I I love going to the Azteca for anything, but I gotta say that the atmosphere at any Cruz Azul match, I've been to two eliminatorias there now. I went to a semifinal de Copa that Leon played against him in 2018. If you guys remember that ended in a PK shootout that we lost. What else is new? But the atmosphere for Cruz Azul matches at the Azteca, even when they're important matches, has never been very good. It's been kind of dull. They just don't draw a ton of fans for Cruz Azul there. Even for America matches, it's a little bit better. The only time it's ever really been a reventar is when I've been to international matches there. But I wasn't expecting it to be a great crowd, and honestly, it wasn't. It certainly was not full or anything close to it. Obviously, it's hard to fill that place. But yeah, the atmosphere wasn't great. And honestly, I think Cruz Azul is one of the most skeptical fan bases, and even they broke their curse, they won their title, but they remain one of the most skeptical fan bases in there. And so I don't think they expected to go through until they scored their late goal, and it was clear that we had no answer. Until that point, I don't think nobody was excited. If anything, they were anxious or indifferent. I mean, honestly, I was anxious and indifferent too. I think everybody in that stadium, whether they were Leon fan or Cruz Azul fan, the best two adjectives to describe them were probably anxious or indifferent. Nobody was like really amped up, and you can kind of understand it. These are two fairly low-seeded teams in the repechaje that don't. Obviously, both are now eliminated. It's a week later, and Cruz Azul isn't even in it anymore. Yeah, it was kind of it was interesting because this was probably the most, in terms of the repechaje matchups, this one was probably the most intriguing in terms of how evenly matched up the teams were. But still, yeah, it wasn't a great vibe. It wasn't packed. It wasn't full. And I mean, honestly, I had just come off that same afternoon in the Uber on the way to the stadium. I watched my Mariners finish off the Blue Jays in their wild card series, and I was so amped up about that I told Javier, I messaged Javier because Javier and I talk baseball. He's big into it just like I am, and we were messaging, and I told him, Javi, I was like, after this, I don't even care what happens to Leon tonight. I'm on my way to watch them play at the Azteca. I'm on the way to the stadium to watch them play, but I don't even really care what happens at this point because I'm so amped up about how this baseball just went. And that kind of held over. I mean, I was happy to be there. I'm always happy to be there. I wouldn't have missed it for anything. But at that point I was already at peace with what was coming. What I thought was probably the most likely outcome, which was that we would not go through. And so I was able to sit there in a pretty chill environment and enjoy the last 90 minutes that Leon was able to play this season.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the experience of it.
I mean, that's how I lived it at home too, right? Like
Yeah.
as the time was winding down, I was just kind of like, we don't have it, like we have no shots on target, and we don't look like we have anything in us. I think just throw in the towel, accept the defeat, go home, regroup, cut some of these guys that aren't supposed to be here anymore, bring in some guys that should be here, John Murillo, and let's see what we can do next season.
Oh.
So that's how I lived it. But I was okay with just losing, getting it over with. Just let's go to next season.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, okay. Sorry, guys. I'm having issues. I don't know why my internet's not working for whatever reason. Last thing I heard was Louis was in an Uber. Wait, what were you doing? You left the stadium?
I was telling about how you and I were messaging.
Yes,
and I told you that it didn't even matter too much to me what happened to Leon because of the baseball that I just watched,
Mariners.
and I knew you understood,
did.
because
I'll
I mean your team's is still in it, so
Yeah, and I
yeah.
haven't. I've just been nonstop drinking and just like, I mean, not like that, but like going to the like bars after work and just like when they win, it's like a five, vamos por otro 12, and it's like whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
That being said, like yeah, I guess talking about, okay, so I agree with Carlos what he just said. I was just kind of like, we need we have an opportunity to have a like this from when the league ends, and then the beginning of the next season, like it's like 2-3 months where we can really work really hard in building this team for, I think, a tournament. I think next year it's going to be very important because La Conca Champions in La Liga, and I think it's also Paivas. There's no excuses, and yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted. Like what Carlos is, just kind of get it over with. I think the team wasn't performing the way we wanted it to perform. I think prior to the game against Cruz Azul, I said like, or was it after? I don't remember. I think it was after, where I said like, I don't like the way the team is playing. I don't know if they're going to be able to fix it during La Liguilla. I know it's a different tournament, but I don't see this team turning it around. I think it has to do more with, not that they don't have the capacity, or maybe the técnico no tiene la habilidad to change the way of them playing. I think it's more about some players just got to go. You know what I was pretty much alluding to, like, maybe that was the situation, and maybe when they leave, maybe something would happen. I don't know who's gonna leave, but we do have I mean, I was seeing the rumors and everything, and I mean now we have Fede, right? That's confirmed.
Yeah, that's one of the early rumors.
I still don't know if it's. We were just saying we don't know if it's confirmed, but I mean it's come from a ton of sources.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a ver mucho humo, entonces.
I
yeah,
think
I agree.
Notified him that he was no longer in Paivas plans. That's what the tweet said, but
he's on vacation, right? I mean, you can't call somebody on and be like, "Yo, man, you're off the team."
That's not cool, man. Come on, Paiva. He waited for him to leave Leon. Like, hey, bro, gotta tell you.
Well, I mean, they're I think they're coming back together next month. I think it's like early next month,
like the 14, 17,
14, 15, something like that. So I mean, 3 more weeks and he'll be out of the team.
And when it's like official, right?
Yeah, but I mean, they're probably not going to announce it. You know how the Club León is.
Yeah, that it has to be all official. Nothing can. Yeah, for all like all. I always feel like it has to do with like also maybe not, but like wages and like trying to like shave off a couple of numbers off. I don't know. Maybe it's, like how it's in baseball or other sports. But but yeah, they don't want to make any move, or they don't want to announce anything until they have a concrete signing, maybe, and until everything is for sure.
Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about let's look into the actual Club León season, and let's look at the refuerzos. And I am still going to count 2 of the players that were loaned out, were with us, and came back. I'm still counting them as refuerzos. So
okay.
A refuerzo is any player that was with us this season and was not with us last season.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So quickly slide. So we're going to talk about player by player, and we're going to rate them pretty much of their whole performance throughout the season, and kind of go from there. So first, we're going to start off with Byron Castillo, a much needed right back that Leon needed. Major talks with Byron. Obviously, we know the whole scandal with the whole FIFA thing and the World Cup thing, and that's the whole side issue. Mainly going to focus on his performance at Club León at this point. What do we think of Byron Castillo as a refuerzo de León this season?
Are we rating like 1 through?
You want it like a 1 through 10 scale or what?
1 through 10, yeah.
Let's do 1 through 10 scale. 1 being very poor, 10 being he lived up to the expectation this season.
Oh boy,
I'm gonna cheat and give him an incomplete, because the guy clearly has
incomplete.
The guy clearly has skills. Yeah, he's first of all, he's young. He's very young. This is his first season in the league, and he had to deal with a personal scandal pretty much the entire season that there's no way you can tell me was not affecting his play. I mean, these guys are only human. And not only that, a World Cup coming up, this dude has a ton on his mind. And I think with the World Cup finished, one season under his belt in Liga MX, I think he's going to do way better next season. I'm going to wait and I'm going to keep the jury out on him until he plays one more season. If he plays next season like he did this season, he will be an epic failure. He's already the biggest disappointment in terms of expectations versus production. I will say that he's of the refuerzos that came in this season, he's definitely the biggest disappointment, just because of what was expected of him and what he gave. But I think there are circumstances that I'm willing to forgive him for that for one more season. But if he plays another season, if he plays one more season like he did this one, I think we should look at moving on from him. I think that's might be harsh, but yeah, that's where I'm going with it.
Wow, man.
You're giving him an incomplete.
I'm giving him incomplete.
Where
Because
does
of all
that
the
1 through 10?
Huh?
Where does that
Well,
where does that land in the 1 through 10?
Yeah.
It doesn't. That's why I said I'm cheating.
Okay, you only get one incomplete for all these players.
Okay.
Okay.
Incomplete.
Your
Incomplete.
card.
I mean, I thought I was
It's
going to be
probably the
hard on
hardest
this
one,
guy,
right?
but
It's gonna be
man, you know, I mean, I don't.
Can I
I
get
guess
an
it's my
NA?
turn. It's my turn to rant on this guy.
Okay, go.
Damn, poor dude.
We brought in
Couldn't
a
be
right
slack.
back because all these seasons we were going, man, we really need a right back. Not knowing that we had it in Avion Ramirez, but unfortunately he was out this season. So he couldn't even compete with Byron Castillo. Even if you wanted to take out Byron Castillo this season, for the times he messed up, there was nobody to substitute in for him. But anyway, so Byron's great, but listen, it seems like I remember more great offensive plays than defensive, and he's a defender. He was brought in as a defender. So I'm knocking his defense, not his offense. I'm not knocking his intensity either. But if we hired a right back, then he should be a right back and he should know how to defend. This guy doesn't know how to do that. He doesn't know how to defend. Think about the number of plays that were his fault where we got scored on because he didn't know how to defend. So, yeah, I mean, just like Louis said, one more season like this, and I think he's out. But
My turn. About ranting about that. No,
hold on,
actually,
one second.
real
Let
quick,
me just finish this real quick. I
before
heard.
I forget though. Do you know the name of?
Go for it.
Because you said it. Do you know the name of? Because this is what you're saying. What's the one youngster that was playing? He que lo puso Paiva porque dijo what you said about que hace más caso.
Play versus Tigres, the youngster. What was his name?
Cervantes.
There you go. That was it,
Cervantes.
man. I wanted to make sure if that was not something that I read or because that's true what you're saying.
Yeah, so I honestly, I thought Cervantes' one game like trumped Byron Castillo's whole season. That one game, especially against Tigres. But anyways, as I was saying, I heard Tito Echeverri say, "I hope Byron Castillo has a great Mundial so that we can sell him." And I kind of have to agree. Like, yeah, I hope he does because he doesn't look like he fits in. Doesn't look like he's the type of player that we need at that position. Like, I think we can do better with Cervantes and
Cervantes.
Yeah. So my grade for Byron this season will be a 6.
Louis, you're muted.
6.
So Carlos is giving Byron a 6. Louis is getting his incomplete card.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say he's certainly not the best. He's certainly not the best right back in CONMEBOL or in the Americas as they were trying to claim.
Yeah.
But he may yet be. But he certainly didn't play like it this season.
No.
Okay, Javi, your turn. Your reasons and what do you rate him?
I will have to go. I think 6 is. I like that because I feel like he could play way better. I think he has, but everything Carlos and Louis said is true. Like if to the point where if next season he doesn't show why we brought him and the way he was como una bomba al equipo, and Tito Echeverri saying what he said, that's kind of interesting too. Like, I mean, one of the things I never understood about Club Leon, and I wish I could have, if I was ever to be like in a room with director deportivo, I'll be like, how many times have you bought a player and how many times have you gotten our money back? Because it feels like we buy players and we just loan them and then we never know from them again. So yeah, if they were able to sell Byron and get good amount of money just because he had a really good Mundial, and we've seen that happen many times. James Rodriguez is probably the greatest example. Like yeah, why not? But I do think he has the potential of playing really, really much better, playing just way more better, especially defensively. But I agree. And there was that one game that I was remembering. I just forgot against who it was. And I remember Paiva saying that the reason why he likes playing with Cervantes is because hace más caso cuando le dice que baje. So maybe he has to work on that way more during the off season. But also, it's not a bad. It's a win-win, because if not, Cervantes can get that spot, and I think he has, or Avion or anybody who I think, if you're going to bring up someone in that position or any position, un extranjero, they definitely have to be way better than los que están ahí. But yeah, I think 6 is what I'm going to rate him.
Well, let's hope they have a healthy competition between the two, and that if Cervantes is actually better, that he gets the opportunity, and that if he's pushing Byron, then that puts pressure on Byron to be at his best.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna give him a 5. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. In giving him, like you guys agreed upon, another season.
Wait,
obviously,
is it 1 out of 10? Is 10 good?
Yes.
10's
So
good.
1 is very poor, and then 10 is like he exceeded your expectations, pretty much.
That's what I thought.
So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Just like I did when Meneses arrived to Leon, and he had a crummy first season, and then the second season it was from there on out. So, but I do agree with a lot of points that Carlos is making. Offensively, great, but su defensa is terrible. And just like Leones, we can't afford to have those mistakes. He can't afford to keep, subiendo and not dropping back. If we have it's not possible to me.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bad player. I just think I totally agree with what we brought him for, he's not lo está haciendo. And we have a youngster who in one game against Tigres, who you throw in, had a great game, and it kind of questions you. Why did we pressure so much chaos for Byron? And we had the answer all along for a right back in Las Fuerzas Básicas. I don't get it. So I'm giving him a 5. And, I think I saw a report that he is training with, what is it? He's training with the team. Yeah, he's training with the team to be in rhythm.
With his club, with his former club.
That's what
Barcelona.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know that. That's
he reported he wants to stay in rhythm for World Cup. So, but I'm hoping with this World Cup, maybe he does play good. Maybe we do get money out of him. But didn't we sign him for 3 years?
Yeah, but you can always sell.
Yeah, you don't have to always fulfill the 3 years. You sell them at 2. You want to. I think there is I think they could do exactly like that. Que lo vendan si tiene un buen mundial, because I think he's a player that he could get a lot of money out of him. But yeah, I don't know.
Shout out to Logan. He's saying, "Hey guys, Castillo's typical modern fullback." Oh, I can't see. I'm really good. Good going forward, but doesn't like defending. Yeah, he does not like defending.
Unfortunately, we brought him in to be more than a typical fullback.
Yeah. Drizno said, reminds me of Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool. That's his comparison with Byron. Okay, so we good? Next slide?
Yeah, let's go next.
Okay. Next we have Julian Celestine, Louis' favorite. On the chat, I laughed. I literally laughed out loud when Louis sent the picture of Julian and his vacation. And Louis' comment just had me rolling on the floor.
Yeah, you put that iguana down, man. You did not earn that iguana. You put that thing down. Yeah.
Wait, Louis, what did you say for Byron Castillo? What did you rate him?
I didn't rate him. I gave him an incomplete. I cheated, but I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to do that with Julien.
Can he be an
incomplete? Well, we all have one incomplete.
I got one incomplete.
Card. So you
No,
can use
Julian,
Julian's my incomplete.
He's my incomplete too.
I saw. I know he didn't get very many minutes, but the minutes that I saw from him did not inspire me to give him any more minutes. I just don't think. I don't like. Why not? I guess by the time we brought him in, you couldn't make any more transfers within Mexico. But like you brought in Paul Belon, who I'm sure we're going to talk about in a minute. But go get someone else like that. There's got to be someone else like that who could have played just as well as Celestine. Like I did not see one promising thing from this dude, and I hope he gets the Kagel-Macher treatment and doesn't come back for a second season.
I have to disagree. This is my incomplete, only because.
Oh, I didn't give a number. Sorry. 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. Okay.
This is my incomplete. He played 4 total games out of 17. That's not enough. You have to at least play half of the season for me to be able to grade, for you to even be gradable. 293 minutes. That's not a lot of minutes. There's not enough. It's not a big enough sample size for us to judge this guy. Now, based on what we saw, sure, he had some questionable moments, but I mean, I think there's a bigger adjustment bridge for Julian than there is for Byron, and we gave Byron a 6. I mean, Byron's coming from a Spanish-speaking country, like the culture gap isn't really there. But when you go from France to Mexico, that's a huge culture gap. This is my incomplete. I'm not gonna give him a grade. I'm gonna wait and see what he does next season, and he might not even be here next season. This is one of my guys that I think is probably not gonna be here next season.
Yeah.
Okay. Incomplete. Louis gives him 3 out of 10. Javi.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't really see. Honestly, I think the only thing I saw really like when I was really like, all right, this is our guy. Did he get a red card?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got expulsado. That's the only thing I really saw from him. So like, I can't really be like, and then like the other games, I just saw him like what I do remember of the games that he played was like, oh shoot, he's gonna get another red card, which. What I'm trying to say is like he was very revolucionario, and I think no one told him like, hey, this isn't like in France, or I don't know what you saw in France, or what you saw in Liga MX, but over here, los árbitros están marcando almost everything with it. I just felt he understood that part, so maybe it's incomplete just because maybe the what Carlos said, the culture gap. I mean, I don't want to put that as an excuse, but I didn't see nothing of him. I think of all los refuerzos, so I can't really rate. I can rate almost everyone else because I did see enough to be like, all right, you got opportunities, this and that, but he's also a player. He's also a player that I also don't think maybe he might not come back just because he being in it. I don't know. He just seems like one of the players that might not come back along with Fede.
Well, the extranjero spots are just so valuable.
Yeah.
Do we really want to use one of them on a player like this? Yeah, my answer is a hard no, but I mean we'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
Gotti.
Another incomplete. I'm gonna give him a 4, and the only reason why I'm not gonna do an incomplete is because to me, I disagree because I disagree with what Louis said, but I agree with what Javi said because I had mentioned on the pod about. He's a very intense player, and to measure La Liga Francesa to come to Mexico, I mean, they were calling fouls left and right, and obviously he needs to be given the benefit of the doubt because Mexico is a different, adaptation. Te van a marcar todo. You should be more sneaky, more, about things. So I did like his intensity. He, I like his attitude. Maybe lowering his temper. I mean, we've had Leon players with temper issue. We had Mejia, we had Pedro Aquino. Pedro Aquino yesterday subbed and he got a yellow card within like a minute or two. Like
Barreiro now.
Yeah, he was like chilling for a minute with these two. I saw him.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give him a 4. But I do like what I've seen from the very slightest thing that I've seen. I think let's give him benefit of the doubt another season. I do think he will come back. I think by playing him with the back line of 5. I mean, that's how he used to play, and that's what Julian used to play. So I think he kind of was, aiming for that. But we'll see what he has in store for next season. But I think he'll stick around at least for another season, and we'll see. Shout out to Amy's mom saying, "Nice to see you all. Better team next year." That's what we hope. Next slide, we have Javier Ibarra, and I'm gonna go ahead and start off by saying, to me, it's an incomplete.
Dang, I should have saved mine.
I knew he was coming, and then I thought about Tecillo, and then I said, "Nah, you just." But dang, you know what? No,
So that's my incomplete.
I'm gonna give him a 4.
I'll give him. I'll give him another 3. He's like so off my radar. He came in like as an emergency fill-in, and I don't expect to see him with the club next year. I'll go on record saying that. I could be wrong. Maybe they still have high hopes for him yet, but I don't think so. I don't think he's the answer. But from what I've seen, I'll give him another 3.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's probably going to be under a 5. We didn't really. Man, I should have saved my incomplete for this guy because we didn't really see him. He probably had less minutes than Celestine. So like,
yeah,
he's I don't know. I feel like he was brought in to be Luis Montes' sub, but we know Luis Montes. He doesn't want to give up his position. He's
starting role. Yeah.
He's just this like stubborn player that the more he ages, the more he doesn't want to give up his starting role. So, and he's especially not going to give it up to someone who just got promoted to first division from second division.
Yeah.
That is incomplete. It's not his fault then.
Yeah, but like Louis said, if we don't see him here next season, then I expect that position to be there. I expect for there to be a new signing in that position because we definitely need a creative.
Can we get a Ponchito? Can we get a Ponchito?
Or we
should have gotten him. Should have gotten him this season.
Yeah, I mean I think his value already.
It would have been this season, when he was being rumored. But yeah. I agree. I'm gonna give him a 4 just because I didn't see enough. I don't know. I don't know if he would have gotten the minutes. He would have shown us something different, especially knowing the Chapito situation. But who knows? Next season, those torneos, he might get an opportunity, a spot.
Yeah.
And then we'll see from there. I think this is why some players do need to go, and then especially like I agree with Celestine, los extranjeros. If you're gonna be coming to Mexico con León and estás ocupando una plaza extranjero, you have to be very fundamental in your role. Like at least the rotation where you're starting or you're coming off the bench and not really just like not knowing what they're gonna do with you, and that's the Celestine situation. I don't know what happened with Fede. He was amazing the first. But that being said, with this guy, hopefully he gets more opportunities. So I'm gonna give him a 4 because this guy can't use my incomplete anymore.
Okay. Let's move on to Lucas Dillorio. Anybody want to start off with Lucas?
I mean, he certainly surpassed expectations, like for sure. I mean, think about when they first announced him, all the comments. Who is this guy? Who is this no name? Like, why are we getting players from Everton? Like, why do we always get their leftovers? Who is this guy? We don't want him. Not knowing that this guy is actually un killer, like 8 goals in one season. 8 goals in one season. Hustler. He's going after every ball. He runs. You never see him walking. He fought for that number 9 position, and he earned it. And even when he wasn't scoring, he was doing other things. He surpassed expectations, in my opinion. I'm going to give him 8.5.
Okay, 8.5. Louis?
Yeah. Pretty much agree with all that. I think they really, this offseason, I mean, the top priority is to get players on the wings who can maximize who can maximize Diorio's effectiveness. Mm-hmm. He's kind of I mean, I don't think he's as good as Boselli, and I hate comparing anybody to Boselli or even talking about Boselli because pages like Soy Fiera and all them will never stop talking about Boselli. We don't need to do that here. But he has some of those same kind of qualities where he's most effective when he has guys giving him constant, accurate service. Lord knows Jairo Moreno's not going to do that for him. Lord knows Elias is not going to do that for him at this stage of his career. Lord knows Chapo's not going to do that for him at this stage of his career. They need to bring in guys who can maximize his effectiveness. Davila's not going to do that for him either. Davila's looking to get his own, which he should be. I mean, he's a good finisher. So yeah, I think Viorio was good. He was solid. He was above average. He was an above average Liga MX striker in his first season, which is admirable. Because considering the expectations that folks had for him, but they really need to work to get players around him that will maximize his effectiveness. Get him a dupla that can really be dangerous with him up there, and then get guys on the edges who can feed him, with some regularity and with plenty of accuracy. But yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you said, Carlos. I think given what he had to work with, I think he shined. I'll give him a solid 8.
Okay,
to match the number of goals that he had on the season. A solid 8.
Nice.
8.5, 8 from Louis. Javi.
Yeah, I think he did very well, considering, like Luis said, the arsenal that we had. I mean, like I said, I did not see this team playing at all. I mean, I can't say that about the first 6. Something happened. I don't know. The game against Toluca, and I went to that game, I said this team has this thing where I feel like I thought they were gonna have this como like una garra when they came back after with the game against Pumas. And the America game was maki. I keep saying it, it was maquillado a little bit, but I just felt like game 1, he showed up, him and Fede, and I will never forget the people in San Luis just saying, "Who is that guy?" They were just saying he was really good. Just besides the fact that he was que metió el gol, he was just very good at his position. I think for his height, I think he's an interesting player, and if next season they do bring the players necessary for him to shine even more, then that's even more greater. But I think he did, from his position, he did the best he could, and probably out of all the positions, I think he did. I think he did his position. That's why he was titular, and I think se lo ganó toda la temporada. So I can give him a 10. I felt no one was a 10. You couldn't score against Cholos. No one gets a 10. Like I said, that was to me the determining factor of the way that ended. Like, nope, like no one's gonna get a 10. This is the way I saw the team playing. So yeah, goleador. I'll give him an 8, just like Louis.
So
8.
8. Yeah, 8.
8. Okay, I'm gonna give him a 9. I didn't expect much from him until he started showing it. Obviously, I think he could have racked up more goals, which needs to, be a little more precise.
He was on track for top scorer in the league for a while there.
Yeah, he was. I mean, we've seen goals that were like right in front. He would miss some, blah blah blah. At the end of the day, he did end the season with 8 goals. There could have been more, yes. But I'm gonna give him a 9. I feel like I didn't expect much from him, and I'm glad we do have a goleador like Lucas Illorio. Yes, Louis, people are comparing him to Boselli, but I think in the aspect of, a hustler, like Carl said, a keyless 9 that we desperately needed and have been struggling ever since Boselli left. So, go on to one of our favorites, Paul Belon.
Uy. El novato del año o de la temporada.
De la temporada.
In my opinion. Yeah. I mean,
Javi and I saw this guy come in. He get his first minutes when he was not expecting to. Yeah, I mean, he came in to replace. Yeah, it was his match day 1.
Yeah,
and I mean, he was. I think he was brought in to be like a break the glass emergency kind of guy. Like that was all that it was going to be expected of him this season. Yeah. And then one of the few remaining franchise cornerstones, in my opinion. Maybe you guys think there are more, but I mean, I think they're the number of franchise cornerstones that they're the verdaderamente intocables on this team. I think William Tecillo he might be on a list of 1, maybe 2 or 3, like maximum. And and he went down, and we didn't, and nobody knew how serious it was if we would see him again this season, which we eventually obviously did. But at the time, it was like, what's going to happen? And they brought this kid on, and he with every minute he played. I mean, I don't think there was any game where you would say, oh, this loss was on him, or he had a really bad game, or something he did contributed directly to. I mean, something Barreiro did contributed to at least 1 or 2 or 3 losses. You know, there's players you can say something this person did directly contributed to the loss. I don't think you could ever really say that about Pelon. The guy came in and performed. Paiva saw him play in a preseason match, gave him a shot, and he ran with it. And even if he isn't with the team long term, I hope he is. I mean, the only reason he might not be is because Tecillo is healthy again, and the minutes might not be there for him going forward. But I mean, at the very least, he upped his value, and we got a legit Liga MX center back out of this guy, and props to him. And we can certainly, if we do sell him, I'm certain we can sell him for at least triple, quadruple what we paid for him. So, like, I prefer to see him continue to shine with our club, but at the very least, ya es ganancia. The guy is solid. He seemed to fall out of favor a little bit with Paiva in the last few matches. Maybe that's just because Tecillo was getting his form fully back, getting fully fit, and there's just not as much space for a left-footed center back in there. But I'm willing to give him a 9 from what we've seen from him. I'll give him a 9.
Oof, absolutely. I was thinking 9 too, and he's also another one of these guys that when he was announced, everyone was like, Who is this no name? Like, why are we getting players from second division? Like, we can't go out and shop for a legit center back, someone who's proven, someone who can come in and has a better resume. But I mean, this kid, as soon as he was called in, and I'm jealous that Louis and Javier got to see him debut. I mean, as soon as he came in, like right away, and there were even people saying, making comparisons, saying, me recuerda Nacho Gonzalez. And you could see it, like, in his game, the way he controlled himself, his composure, sus barridas, like everything. So, yeah, I mean, this guy's, like I said, he's the rookie of the year, in my opinion. And I'm glad we got him. They're going to buy his card for sure. I mean, even if his value went up, Leones Negros can't be like, he had a great season. We want to sell him for this much now. No, like whatever was written on the contract is what you pay. Whatever it says he was loaned out for, that's what you pay. So it's
we have a comment here. We have a comment here saying he's on loan, so we can't really sell him. Yes, obviously, but there's no way this loan ends with him going back to Segunda División. I mean, that's just not. There's no way that's going to happen. They're going to buy his card.
Yeah, but Bellon's not gonna go back to you know what I mean? It's like, imagine minor league going to major league and he's gonna go back. I mean, it's not the same thing, but
as we would say,
second division.
As we would say in baseball, Javi, he's out of minor league options.
Yeah. So this guy, I'm gonna go 9 as well because he deserves it. And Louis, you mentioned, with Tecillo coming back, he might be on the bench more. I disagree. I think Tecillo would be much better at left back, and Osby.
Well, I agree with that.
We all want that to happen.
I want that, Carlos. I just it's just bad. They are stubborn and do not want to play him at his best position.
They don't want it. Like Paiva doesn't want to do it too.
You gotta knock some sense into Paiva. Anyways, 9. Go ahead, Javi.
No, I agree. 9. That was the one player that. Because it was rookie, not only rookie of the season of the year or Harvey, but como, he could really be a player that could hold down that position for years and years to come, like a Nacho Gonzalez. So that being said, I remember when he was cuando lo contrataron, or when it was announced that Paiva saw him during el partido de pretemporada, and I was like, that's pretty interesting. Hopefully he's correct in his observation. Maybe he saw something in him, which is why he brought him to León. And then I remember the interview, and I thought he had an intensity, which I'm a big fan of people that just have an intensity, un carácter que muestra liderazgo, más que nada. You always want that always on your team, especially in a young player. So when we were at the game and Tecillo gets lesionado and then entra Bellón and everything, I'm blind. Louis knows I'm blind. I can't really see at all, but I can understand movement and I can just. Yo vi dos jugadas donde cortó perfectamente el balón, the way like so I knew this kid had game. This kid understands how to play his positions very well. Y no le pesó el momento. He wasn't nervous. At least I didn't think he didn't look nervous. He looked at a fantastic game. So that was just that was promising, and that's a lot of players can do that in their debut. A lot of people could, but to remain and sustain the whole tournament, yeah, I give him a 9.
Okay, I'm gonna give him a 9.5. For the simple aspect of
Almost perfect.
right. Well, I
Look
think
at that face, Louis.
Why not a 9.7, Cuddy?
I would put a 9.7
Or
because that's my
9.4.
favorite number. You know what? Let me do a 9.7. Well, I mean, besides the fact, I mean, he's a talent that we didn't expect. He's like Carlos had said, we were all kind of questioning like, why are we getting a second division player? Etc. But he owned up to it. Like what Javi said, he subbed in, had a great game. And from there on out, that was our solution for our back line. Knowing how, Tecillo became like the backbone of the team. I mean, Belon like respondió and he owned up to the position, and he was starting every single game. So I think this was a great gem to be added, and I hope that he continues to play with Leon, and we can see where it takes him. I mean, he's 25. I think he from here on out could be at his prime. And, who knows what that looks like with national team. I mean, he's dual citizenship with Mexico and France. So I don't know what that might look for him. But
I think he has a better chance with Mexico. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah.
But 2026 World Cup France squad, campeón del mundo.
Even Celestine has a better chance with Mexico.
Come on. Poor Celestine, bro. Poor guy.
Leave him alone.
He's like, I can't even understand you, but we.
The only bad thing I'm going to say about Melon.
Not my imagination.
The only reason I didn't go any further higher than a 9 is because of his accumulation of yellows. He did get those 5 yellows.
Yeah.
Got a game suspension, and then he came back and got a few more yellows. And he was almost close to a second game suspension. So if he can clean that up, man, he's going to be a great player. Yeah, for the next couple of years.
Definitely. Next one we have Plátano Alvarado. Yes, I put Plátano because I know it's Alfonso, but it's just Plátano for us. So Plátano Alvarado. He is on loan from Monterrey. Has the rest of this next upcoming season. What do we think?
I can't remember. Do we have an option to buy?
We do have an option to buy, but then I believe there's an option for Monterrey to rebuy.
Oh.
It was like a weird, like if we buy, but then he shows out, like they could potentially buy him back. But I'm sure that buyback clause for them is like at a like with a lot of interest, like at a much higher rate. I liked what I saw from him. He didn't get a ton of opportunity, but he got enough. He got enough opportunity for me. I mean, Javi, I'm still thinking about his assist to Viorio in that very first game. The people don't remember that, but he got in late and he gave the assist to Viorio for that winning goal.
Yeah, it was very.
And then after that, he didn't get a ton of opportunity. He got the start in a few key moments. He was a key factor in that Tigres win, which for my money was the highlight of the season. And I liked what limited opportunities of the folks who got limited opportunities, he took the most advantage of them, I would say. He does have to get at least one, maybe 2 goals on the season, I want to say. Did he have 2? I think he had
1.
He had 1.
He had 1.
Was it again? Which was it? What? I think he had no
against Cholos.
Oh yeah. But did he have 1? I swear he had 1 before that. Maybe I'm wrong.
I feel like he had 2 assists and 1 goal, maybe.
He has 1. Yeah, he has.
Okay. Well, either way, I feel like he took advantage of the opportunities he was given, and I would like for him. I mean, maybe we don't have to go out and look for a second striker type this upcoming season, we already have him on the roster. I like the possibilities of him having a bigger role and doing even better. I can't really give him an 8 or a 9 because he didn't play in enough matches. I'll give him a 7.
That's what I was gonna give him. A 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, he played less minutes than Julian Celestine. So
Yeah, but he did more with them. He did way more with them.
That's what I was gonna point out.
Yeah.
He took advantage of his opportunities.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of those minutes, I mean, I would say the majority of those minutes were garbage minutes where he was just kind of subbed in at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But he came in and he made a big difference. Like he was an
Mhm.
impact player off of the bench every time he came in. And I especially remember that play in the first that you guys watched at San Luis, where he came in off the bench, made an impact, gave an assist to the Yorio for his doblete.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, great player. I'm gonna go with a 7 as well.
Mhm.
Just because of the minutes. I mean, we didn't really get to see him a lot, but I'm sure if we had seen him play more games, get more minutes, this would have been sort of I don't want to make a comparison, but sort of like a Macias type of player.
I'm gonna give him also a 7. Especially because of that game in San Luis, guys. Because all right, so I think what he has that I felt he needs to be given more minutes. He's very determined. He's a very determined player. That assist he gave to Diorio, he was determined to make sure we left with the win. I
Mhm.
saw it every jugada that he had. He made the smart move. He's a player that he just reminds me of players that I would always want in my team. And if I was a coach, ever, he has just that personality of just being very determined and making the best out of the little bit of minutes that he actually got. I think that he's someone that hopefully gets way more minutes, gets a bigger role. So I'm gonna give him a 7 just because I was rooting for him the whole time. Why I don't know. It's just something about him that I feel like si le dan más oportunidad, les va a dar más alegría a la gente de León. I feel like he could really be one of those players who could really. I feel he's him with Diorio and Bellon. That is the future of León, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's give these players a bigger role.
Okay, we all agreeing with the 7. I think from a lot of comments that I saw on Twitter would probably agree with us saying that the few minutes that he got, we really liked. I mean, we'd want him to get more opportunities. So I hope Iowa really gives him that opportunity next season. Oh,
Otra vez?
the other one. I'm looking for.
There we
There
go.
he goes. Sorry,
Wait, who?
I had
Really?
duplicated it. Joel Campbell. El
Uy,
Tico.
this one's interesting. This one's interesting because in his first stint with Leon, we all thought he played at a very underwhelming level. You know, dejó mucho que desear. And this time around, it was the complete opposite. He was the one running, hustling. And sometimes, to me, it felt like he was the only one out there really trying to play. El único que le echaba ganas. And I mean, yeah, he's a starter. He was a starter. Nobody could take that spot. Just a beast this season. I'm gonna go with a 9 for him this season. Yeah.
Okay.
Deserves it.
9.
Yeah, his career trajectory is strange. Normally, when you go on loan and the loan ends and you just go back without a sale, that's considered a backwards step in your career. It's considered a fail. And I'm going to say failure, but a disappointment. But I don't know, for whatever reason, he came back with the right attitude, with the right mindset. I mean, it seems like ages ago, it just didn't end up being the case. We thought there was an argument between they could only keep either Colombato or Campbell, and that they decided on They decided on Campbell. Turns out that Colombato wanted out of the club, so it ended up being a moot point. And we were all like, "No, Colombato. If we can only have one, we want Colombato." And honestly, I don't know if we knew that this was what we were going to get from Campbell. I don't know if we would have been singing the same tune. I really don't. I thought he came back and had a great season. Like Carlos said, I mean, a real bright spot. And I hope I don't know what his long-term future is with the organization, but he's pretty high on the list of those, pretty high on the pretty short list of those I definitely want to see back. So I'll give him an 8.5.
Okay, Javi.
Really good season. I think also he had a season which we all kind of expected when he was first with Leon. I think he came back from Monterrey feeling like I think como que no lo apreciaron mucho allá. I feel I don't know if it's true or not. So he came back wanting to be like, you know what, I was always treated good in Leon, and the directiva definitely wants the best for my career. They definitely, I feel he feels, I don't want to say like I don't really know. I'm just like assuming, but he looks happier in Leon. He looks like he's playing better. Or he wants to, like he's like Carlos said, give me the ball. I wanna, armar. Like he looked like he was really giving that attitude that we needed. So yeah, I gave Bellon a 9, and I gave Diori an 8. So I'm gonna give him an 8. Like
Sweet.
he's up there in those. I mean, I'm not trying to be like what's good or what's bad. I'm sorry, I'm giving one a 10, but definitely bad is like 4. And then I think I haven't given anybody. Have I given anybody a 4? Sure, no. I
I
guess
think you gave Barra 4.
yeah, but because he didn't really play.
Yeah.
But see the difference between Plátano and Ibarra, que con los minutos que hizo Plátano, he showed more, and that's on Ibarra for not showing that.
I think I'm gonna go with Carlos. I'm gonna give him a 9. So just like Joel Campbell with the next player we're gonna talk about, I had little faith that we were gonna keep these players, and I think Paiva had a lot to do with keeping these players and liking what he saw in them and potentially using them to what we know the potential they have. Like Carlos had said, when Joel Campbell came, I mean, we know he's very talented. He could just be he was a bit lazy and kind of like, very chalant and passive his first time around at Leon. So seeing him come back with that hunger and being one of the ones that was always hustling out there was really refreshing to see, especially at his age and wanting to maintain his level going into World Cup. So I mean, I've always liked Joel Campbell. I know we all know how talented he is, and
He's
glad
very
that
talented. You think about his World Cup, like runs. He was part of that 2014 squad. He's definitely a player that we're lucky to have. We just hope he lo presenta más.
Yeah.
So I have one more player, and then we'll quickly talk about Paiva, and then we'll go ahead and end the season. So Jairo Moreno, the other player that I was talking about, that was like, oh no, what if we don't get to keep him? But we did. So what do you guys think before we talk about Paiva's report?
Always happy to see him to be back with Leon. I feel like he wasn't really doing anything in Pachuca, so having him back to me is always. I just felt like, again, first game I remember Paiva and for many games lo puso de contención. I remember que lo estaba regañando y le decía mucho que reparte el juego, and I really felt in my mind when I was watching the game. I like paying attention to the game, but also Paiva and like what he's telling the players, and when the camera's not really on them, like what's going on, qué indicación está dando. And I remember like Yaito he was having a hard time understanding what I think he wanted Paiva wanted him to do in that role. So I don't know. It's hard because I feel he's a good player. We know de lo que es capaz. Metió gol, sí. But I think it's a hard one because I gave him an 8. I'll give him a 7. I'll give him a 7. But again, I like what I saw. It could have been better, but I don't know. I just don't know what donde es mejor donde Paiva lo quiere poner. I don't know if he quite himself knows that.
Yeah. Oof. Jairo. I feel like he's a player who I was excited to see him come back. Obviously, because he started his career in Mexico with Leon. So it's like you're getting someone back who's like he's part of the squad, he's part of the team, he's one of the original players, and especially from that championship team. And he's coming back this is one of those players where I thought he never hit his ceiling, and he still hasn't. He's one season, 6 months of pure discipline where he works on his craft day in, day out from taking that next step to go to Europe. He's that kind of player. Like and if he doesn't do it next season or within the next year, then he's never going to do it. I've said that a couple times on the podcast this season. But I mean, this season wasn't that great. I don't think he had the best season. I expected much more from him. It's kind of disappointing in a way. But I'm gonna go with 6.5 for Guido. 6.5. I expected a lot more from him.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what I expected from him. I mean, he never really he never really solidified a role with Pachuca, a team that went to a final. He was out of the club by the time they got to that point. I mean, he wasn't really what's the dude's name? The coach of Pachuca. Yes, Almada's plans. But they clearly had a falling out. That was concerning to me. I mean, the way he finished in Pachuca was very concerning to me when he came back. The guy clearly has gifts. He's just never really been able to put it all together, and I don't think we saw him put it together this season either. Mm-hmm. Paiva was asked about what it would mean to have him back in the squad, and I was like, "Oh, well, you always want to have a guy with his talents and abilities." I mean, but that's all it is: talents and abilities, but not. He can't put them together. You just can't put them together in a way that you're like. You want to have him out there. What he did, he had a lot of heart and guts this season. I'll give him that. I mean, I guess he's always had that when he's played for Leon. It's not like he suddenly found something that he didn't have there in that department, but he just can't put all of his he clearly has a lot of cualidades, but he just can't seem to put them together. I was hoping for more. Like you guys, I was underwhelmed. I'll rate him a little bit higher. I'll give him a 7. I'll rate him a little bit higher than you guys did, but I'm also disappointed. I wanted to. Okay, so 7. Yeah. I would have loved for him to have had an 8 or a 9 season, but it just wasn't there. He's just not consistent enough. He certainly had a few moments. I mean, he's good for a few brilliant moments every season, clearly, but I mean, just I wanted more.
Definitely, we wanted to be back and see he could really show like his full potential. I agree with you guys on everything you guys said, though, because he hasn't. Como dices, Carlos, he hasn't reached his ceiling. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a 7. I agree. He
really
has good. Yeah, except for Carl. Carl's a bit more critical, but I give him that.
Carlos, he's all like,
ya está grande. Like,
No,
like Simon Cowell, bro. Why are you acting like Simon Cowell?
No, it's true.
Mean, like
No, it's because the way you were like this, bro. Like like this could be enough for me, dog.
I think I am with Carlos 6.5, but the 0.5 to give him to a 7 is just because I really do like Guido as a person, and I just love seeing him in our jersey, and he has a lot of speed. He needs to refine some things on the field, but all in all, if we obviously we're just talking about refuerzos, but if we compare him to the whole squad on the roster, I mean, he's had a better season than other players on the roster. So I'm gonna give him a 7. I'm gonna give him a 7.
Quick score update. Pachuca just scored 1-0. 10th minute. Nico Ibanez. The entire Monterrey back line got caught while watching on a corner. Yeah.
Cool.
We're all rooting for Pachuca, right?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, if it's between those two, then I guess. But I also I also have zero respect for their fan base, their apathetic fan base. That like their stadium isn't even close to full tonight. Like,
that's how it is.
And they had the lowest attendance by far of any team this season, and they might have the best constructed team in the entire league, and no one goes to see them play. So sorry, just an aside.
And Museo, they have like the Hall of Fame and everything, and still, that's true.
Well, that's where football mexicano was invented.
Well, they say that's fue el primer equipo que se formó en México, but El Orizaba also claims that. But I'll give it to Pachuca.
I know we've gone a little bit more overboard on time because we talked about the refuerzos. Quickly, if we can just wrap it up, give a score to Paiva this season, 1 to 10. Each of you guys, quick 30 seconds of Paiva, and then grade them, and then we can get out of here.
Louis goes first.
What? Wait, you said 1 to 5?
1 to 10. Sorry.
Oh, 1 to 10.
10, 11.
1 to 10.
Say like quick 30 second spiel of Paiva, and then we can go.
I'll give him a 6. Look, I don't think he had that much to work with this season. I don't think they built a complete team, and I think there are definitely guys in the roster whose ciclo needs to end like yesterday. And I think if they build a team, first of all, if they let him give his input, what kind of players he wants, and like if he gives them names of players, if they actually go out and attempt to get those players for him. I think then if they're not going to do that, I mean, I don't know really what they expect from him. Yeah. And you've seen in Liga MX, well, just in the game of soccer in general, it's not like other sports where a rebuild could take 5-6 years. I mean, from the time that it starts. Like in Liga MX, just look at. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this short, but just look at the last time León really had a transformation. They went from 4 straight tournaments without qualifying to Liguilla to the Clausura 19, where they won 12 straight, got the points record, and made it to a final. Like, after a season where they did not make Liguilla, like, it does not take much to turn a team completely around and make them into a contender again. So if they are willing to do that for Paiva, I like Paiva's chances of taking us far. If they're not going to do that for him, he's going to get fired without having ever really had a real chance. But just for this one season that he had, I'll give him a 6. And I see a lot of room for growth within the organization. I expect good things from him. If they get him anything close to the team that he wants to have, I expect good things from him next season.
Yeah.
I agree exactly what Louis just said about if they want this match to really prove what he could actually do, they should really analyze what they did with Nacho Ambriz. Because when Nacho Ambriz came that first season, no calificó. But I'm pretty sure it was under the same circumstances in which no había pedido los jugadores que llegaron. Then the next season came. It was like a rebuild, to be honest.
They brought in Mena Macias. That was basically the biggest change. That was all they had to do, and we went from a team that did not qualify for Liguilla to a finalist.
And that's all they got analyzed for this season. Like everything we said in this podcast,
actually.
Everything we said about the podcast, like we were mentioning that if they know that Diori is un goleador, they need to bring players that make him be even more of a goleador. That's exactly what they need to be analyzing. So also put into consideration when Colombato left, I don't think that was under their plans. So all that putting it, I think Paiva could, lo que hizo con Bellón, the way he brought him, I'm gonna give him props for that. That's why I do want to give him like a 6.5. I just think he has to be more convincente un poco, I think, en su manera de cómo hablar con los jugadores. I feel he doesn't convince them a lot. There must be a reason why Biden's not paying attention to him cuando dice baja, instead of attacking. Like Louis said, I didn't know about the fact that he said what he said prior to the game against Cruz Azul about other teams. That's not good. He has to be so. He's got a lot of things that I wish, in a coach for León, I would always want to see. I'm not to be all romantico, but Matosas, the way he would say the things he would say, not only about his players, but about the teammates, los aficionados. I think that's something that I do want to see always in my coach. Not necessarily que sea gritón y whatever, but definitely alguien que muestre un poco de consideración y pasión en del equipo. I think considering under all the circumstances of just the whole situation, that I still believe, and I said it before the season started and before the Liguilla, I think it's a couple of players, some players that just need to go, because I feel that's the real reason why a veces que el equipo no funciona bien. I do think hay unos jugadores que ya su tiempo se acabó, and I think if they do this whole rebuild from next season, then si las cosas siguen iguales,
so 6.
6.5.
6.5.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 6. I think this season was kind of, I don't know. First of all, it's kind of weird season. Just the format, how it was all squeezed into like a few months. So there is like a little bit of like, okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you had 17 games to make something work and you didn't. So that's kind of like a red flag. So it's a 6 for me. If by next season, within the first 5 jornadas, we are not doing good, it's time for him to go, and we got to have a plan B. For sure, we got.
That sounds reasonable because of the time that they're giving him, like to rebuild, like 3 months, 2 months.
And especially if they bring in refuerzos that he wants. So if he can't do something with this team by week 5 next season, he should be out.
Because Carlos, you said it too. A veces cuando viene un técnico, ese golpe anímico of a new coach coming in, sometimes you see them. It's like they get hot and they start. That didn't even happen. So yeah, I agree with that. If by the 6th jornada, it's like you don't see even the team playing well, I agree. With that.
Rayados has just tied the game just a few minutes later.
Who scored?
Yeah, Hector Moreno.
Oh, great. That's for another reason. But anyways, I'm gonna give them a 5.5. I think dejó mucho que desear. I feel like I'm like going back onto what I was saying. Like, come on, guys, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. It was just really frustrating the past like últimas jornadas and seeing how the team went slowly downhill and us like, but we can do it, guys. But I don't know. I think there's no excuses this time around. He has a long time to rebuild this team however he wants, and we don't have just the Liga MX tournaments. We also have other tournaments in play. So we need to reforzarnos bien how he wants to, and for him to actually put his money where his mouth is, because we don't need these like excuses of other teams or like he keeps saying I need more time. Okay, here's the time. Here's your time. So give us the best version that you can of this Leon after you get your time and effort.
There's really no excuse for them not to get this offseason right, considering how much time they have. I know we're all like, okay, it's okay that they left early because that they were eliminated earlier because now they have this long offseason to get it right. Okay, that's all well and good. It makes us feel better right now, but now they have to get it right, and they have no excuses not to.
Yeah, definitely. Like Drizno was saying, Tucson is that example, that type of rebuild now. Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately using our players, but yeah, it is. Yeah.
Definitely. And I know Logan's watching the Pachuca versus Monterrey game, so he's also catching us on the last bit of our show. I think Paiva deserves more bit of time, but I'm not totally convinced. Yes, that's just how I feel as well. So we'll definitely see what happens.
Thanks for tuning in, Logan. Appreciate that.
Yes. Okay, guys. Well, we talked about refuerzos and kind of calificándolos. We talked about Paivas in his report card as well. Lots of things I'm sure will happen between now until January. With it, does Montes leave? Does Osby leave? I mean, that's
God. I hope so. Please sell him.
Dream.
Please sell him to Seattle Sounders so that he can help them.
We can really hate him.
We dislike him on the field.
Bro, you hate him. You said go to Seattle Sounders. That's like.
Yeah, so you can help them. So you can help them miss the. You can help them miss the playoffs for a second straight season.
I mean,
yeah.
Like go to the Dodgers. That's like me saying that. Like
Does Mena leave?
Does Mena leave?
Oh, that's even better.
I think Mena does leave, guys.
I don't think he does. I don't think no, I don't think he does. That's my hot take.
Will they wait till after the World Cup to make that decision? Like, what if he has a really good World Cup?
I don't think he does.
I think
he has 2 years left in his contract. Nobody's gonna buy up that contract.
Yeah. Emelec might, but they're. I mean, they don't have the kind of money to spend that we would want to sell.
Sell them to MLS.
Only place you could deal him to is MLS.
Yeah, that was a while ago. We were saying that. I think a year ago we were already talking about Mena, like what his career path could be after Leon, or how long would he be with Leon? And we said, definitely if we can't sell him, it would probably be to MLS, and I think he would want to go to MLS. But that's a good hot take. Good hot take, because I think he's being considered, and I think a lot of players like Byron. I think if depending on the World Cup they have, I think it's under consideration. It's fair game. You never know. They could always bring someone. I'll say it's all these questions are interesting because a lot of things are gonna. I don't think ever in the history of the Liga Mexicana we've been on a break like this.
For sure.
It's been 2-3
Definitely.
months.
Well, there'll be lots of movements going on. So don't forget to follow us on all our Twitter handles to keep you updated with everything that happens with this Club Leon, and also with the Club Leon players heading into the World Cup. So we hope all of them have a good World Cup, that they come back home safe, back to Leon. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching us via Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Really do appreciate you guys coming alongside us every week. I know it's been a hectic season, but we're always here to talk about Club Leon, and unfortunately our season ended a bit early. But we're glad that you guys stayed with us and popped in and commented and shared your thoughts with us. So we definitely appreciate that. And we hope to see you guys next year on a new season. Hopefully a better season than this season, right, guys?
Yeah.
Sí,
Till
que se queden
January, right?
tranquilos.
We'll
Yeah,
be back in January, guys. So no
Yeah.
podcast. Everybody on the chat, no podcast until January of next season.
No, I mean, let's not rule out, like, if there's a big news
Yeah,
event,
what
we
if
could maybe
you
do
never know?
an
An
Oh,
emergency
well, okay.
pod. It's always an
If
Like
it's
if
a
we-
big, we'll do a
Cristiano
Twitter
Ronaldo viene
space.
al León porque paga y son
Yeah.
portugueses or something.
Okay,
We'll
so
do a Twitter
I
space.
take
Yeah.
that back. Unless
I
something
don't know.
crazy
If we get
happens.
like a huge signing or something, we might have to do an emergency pod.
Cristiano Ronaldo, que se paga
Yeah.
portugués. The shooter's
Okay,
bunda,
well,
yeah,
just
come
keep-
to León.
Keep updated with us on Twitter. I know you won't see Louis going to any more games soon, but he
Not
deserves
not
his time
Leon
off.
not Leon matches anyway. Maybe
Couple
maybe a
of
few maybe a
Portland.
maybe a few NBA games or something.
Yeah.
Because the NBA season has just started again, thankfully. So
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
Alright,
guys. Well, we are gonna take off. Thank you guys for joining us on this podcast. Take
Y que se
care.
queden tranquilos, diles que se queden tranquilos, Curry, que vamos por la novena. Vamos por la
Vamos por
novena.
la
We're gonna
novena.
win. We're gonna win that and the Conca Champions, and then this team is gonna be sustained all the way to the FIFA World Cup, the Club World Cup, and we'll win that too.
Oh, that would be something.
Que nos traigan al quien sea, a Nápoles. They're gonna probably win. They're playing good
guys.
too, guys.
Pachuca takes the lead again, 2-1. 2-1.
Okay, we need to
That's
go
a
watch
good
this
game.
game.
Let's
Let's
go
go
watch
watch
it.
this game. Let's go watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Padres.